Nothing extraordinary is born from the sporadic. The true path to excellence and well-being. We live in a culture obsessed with results. We celebrate visible success, peak moments, drastic turns that promise a better life. But what is truly transformative isn't born suddenly. It's not the product of a single event. It's the consequence of silent, sustained, deliberate practice. Excellence and well-being, though they may seem like distinct goals, share a common root: consistency. They don't manifest in applause or brilliant moments, but in what no one sees. In the silent decisions we repeat every day. In what we do when no one is looking. Excellence isn't an external standard, but a personal commitment. It's a form of self-respect. A continuous commitment to grow, learn, and improve, not because it's obligatory, but because internally you know you can be more profound, more precise, more integral. Excellence isn't imposed, it's cultivated. Well-being, for its part, isn't a prize or a consequence of having everything under control. It's a state built on acceptance, on the coherence between what you feel, think, and live. It's a way of relating to life without imposing unrealistic demands. Both excellence and well-being require the same kind of decision, one taken every day, even when inspiration is absent. One that values progress more than perfection. One that knows the authentic is built from the simple, the constant, the true. Excellence demands discipline. Well-being, awareness. And both flourish when we understand that time is an ally, not an enemy. When we stop seeking immediate results and begin to nurture the present as the seed of the future. It's not about grand sporadic efforts, but about small, sustained commitments. It's not a race for external validation, but a journey toward inner depth. When we embrace this vision, we stop chasing moments and start building a life. A life where excellence isn't a title, but a way of being. And well-being isn't a goal, but a way of being. The idea of excellence often evokes images of geniuses or prodigies who achieved something amazing overnight. But the truth is, those peak moments are almost always the tip of the iceberg of years of silent dedication. I know this from experience. A few years ago, I met a carpenter, Don Julio. His workshop wasn't large or ostentatious, but every piece that came from his hands was a work of art. One day, I asked him his secret. He, with a tired but genuine smile, told me, "Isaac, there are no secrets. Just be a little better every day." He explained that, at the beginning of his career, he forced himself to polish one more plank than he thought necessary, to sand a surface until it felt perfect under his fingers, not just until it looked good. It was a tireless repetition of the seemingly insignificant. He wasn't looking for perfection in one piece, but in the process of creation. Those small daily extras accumulated over decades, and the result was undeniable mastery, visible in every joint, every finish. Don Julio's excellence wasn't a sudden spark, it was the result of thousands of small decisions not to settle. It wasn't about pure talent, but about the willingness to repeat and refine. Another example can be seen in learning any complex skill. Think of a musician. No one becomes a virtuoso by practicing only when they feel like it. I remember a young pianist who, to master a particularly difficult Chopin piece, decided to dedicate exactly 15 minutes to it every morning, before doing anything else. It wasn't a session of hours, it wasn't an inspired practice. It was pure discipline and consistency. There were days when she didn't feel the music, when her fingers felt clumsy. But she clung to those 15 minutes. That daily repetition, that insistence on detail, was what, over time, allowed her not only to play the piece but to interpret it with an emotion and precision that moved people. Excellence is an accumulation of moments of effort, not a single grand outburst. Just as excellence is forged in deliberate repetition, well-being is built in the small, conscious choices we make moment by moment. It's not a state to be achieved and maintained effortlessly, but a daily practice, a subtle art of being present. Recently, I was talking with a friend who used to live in a state of chronic stress. Her life was full of demands, and she always felt overwhelmed. One day, after much frustration, she decided to try an experiment. Instead of looking for grand solutions, she committed to incorporating well-being micro-pauses into her routine. One of them was simple: every time her phone rang, before answering or checking the message, she would take 3 deep breaths, feeling the air fill and empty her lungs. It's a procedure of seconds, almost imperceptible to others. She told me that, at first, she felt silly, but over time, that small pause gave her space to choose her response instead of reacting impulsively. She went from feeling constantly reactive to having a sense of inner control. Her well-being didn't come with an exotic trip or a job change, but with 3 conscious breaths. Another very powerful case is that of daily gratitude. I knew a man who had gone through a period of deep depression. One of the tools recommended to him was to keep a gratitude journal, but he simplified it to an extreme that I found fascinating. Before going to sleep, he would simply think of 3 good things that had happened to him that day, no matter how small. A tasty coffee, a pleasant conversation, a ray of sun coming through the window. He didn't write them down. He just brought them to mind for an instant. He explained that this practice, repeated every night, began to recalibrate his brain. He stopped looking for the negative to focus on the positive. It wasn't an exercise in forced happiness, but in recognition. Over time, his general perspective changed, and with it, his sense of well-being. His inner peace didn't arise from a miraculous event, but from a constant decision to seek the light in the everyday. The most powerful thing is when the pursuit of excellence and the practice of well-being intertwine, because they both reinforce each other. Discipline doesn't have to be exhausting if it's tinged with awareness, and inner peace isn't passivity if it drives us to grow. I think of a friend who is a writer. He has always sought excellence in his craft, but he used to suffer from creative blocks and brutal self-demands that left him exhausted. His process was intermittent, great bursts followed by periods of deep frustration. One day, he decided to change his approach. Instead of waiting for inspiration or great effort, he set a rule: write 500 words every day, no matter what. Just 500 words. And, crucially, after writing, he forced himself to take a 10-minute break to meditate or simply be in silence without reviewing what he had written, without judging it. At first, it was difficult. But consistency in writing excellence made the words flow more easily over time. And consistency in the conscious pause, well-being, allowed him to release the pressure of the outcome. He told me that his writing not only improved in quality, but the process became less torturous and more pleasant. The discipline of writing gave him a clear purpose, and the well-being pauses allowed him to remain calm and maintain perspective. Excellence in his work became a source of well-being, and well-being gave him the mental clarity to pursue that excellence without burning out. His novel wasn't an act of sudden genius, but the culmination of thousands of disciplined mornings and intentional pauses. The key is to understand that every small step, every daily decision, however insignificant it may seem, contributes to the fabric of your life. There are no shortcuts to a full and meaningful life. Only a path of constant choices that, over time, weave a reality where excellence and well-being are not separate goals, but two sides of the same coin, a life lived with intention. I invite you to reflect. Are you building with shortcuts or with the solidity of excellence? Remember, the quality of your life, the depth of your achievements, and the impact you generate are forged in that daily discipline, in that silent consistency. The path of excellence is the path of true freedom and fulfillment. Visit us. raudaldevida.blogspot.com. Copyright 2025 Raudaldevida, Isaac Joda, all rights reserved.